It's like you met a giraffe and you want a lion, but you're gonna hope and pray and wish and hang in there thinking one day he's gonna be a lion, and you're gonna look up, he's still a giraffe. When dating's not fun, that means you've got to evaluate, what am I doing? How much pressure am I putting on this that dating isn't fun? So, red flags are the gift on the front end, usually no more than by the 5th date. You have seen them and you have been so comfortable with what's familiar. So, that joker's just kind of been hanging in there, probably at best a situationship where you're tolerating the emotional.
All right. So look what we have in the house tonight. Stacey Speller, relationship expert. Stacey, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing awesome.
Good,
so
good.
Yeah, well, you look lovely as usual.
Well, I did not wake up this way. I promise you.
Looks good to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so tonight we brought you here because we know that your social media is crazy. I've been all over your page. We're stalking you because you're always giving us the gems in regards to relationships. And we know there's the buzz, right? Everyone's talking about dating and relationship. And we're excited about this topic tonight because the women want to know. The ladies want to know. The single women want to know what's going on out there. They want some strategies. They want to be able to move forward in their relationship successfully. But truth be told, Stacey, a lot of relationships are dead end. Now, we brought you here because we need answers. And we know you got it because we've been all over your Instagram. So, and before we pull one of your posts and talk about that, let's just focus a little bit about why is it so difficult for women to move forward? And I want to narrow it down on women because it's mostly the women talking it out, right? Why is it so difficult to find a relationship that's going to move from dating to marriage? A lot of women are dating, but halfway through they're giving up and they're complaining, I just don't know why we didn't make it to marriage. Just help us out, Stacey. We need help.
Okay, well,
We need help.
one of the things I always say is relationships don't end wrong, they start wrong.
Ooh.
So when it doesn't end up in a marriage, then it's not because something happened and you did something wrong at the end. It's what did you do at the beginning? Because now, having said that, there are some men that are just not God's best for you, and you're glad you dodged that bullet. But going into it, so many women, far too many women, actually, they don't recognize the red flags when they see them, because a non-committal guy, an emotionally available man, he's going to tell you and show you pretty quickly. The challenge is when we're what I call dating with desperation, because we're, Boaz is late, and we're dating with desperation and we ignore those red flags. Or worse still, we think we can change him. We think we can fix him.
That part.
We think, we have this mindset of love is a test of endurance. Girl, if I can just hang in there with him, another year, 3 years, 5 years, he's going to be ready, he's going to commit, and we're going to get married. And it doesn't work that way. And so we end up wasting so much time and energy. I mean, I've coached women who have invested 5-7 years into a dead-end relationship. And we specialize in being what I call the terminal girlfriend, where the relationship dies and you are still just the girlfriend. And we do it to ourselves.
Ladies, I hope you're listening.
We bring it on ourselves. Again, having said that, you meet a guy, you're responsible to teach him how to treat you right from the beginning. And so if you know you're marriage minded and he's showing you who he is, your job is to believe him.
If you know you're marriage minded and he shows you who he is from the beginning, Your job is to believe him the first time. I love that. Oh,
yeah, like don't wait. He is who he is. It's like you met a giraffe and you want a lion, but you're gonna hope and pray and wish and hang in there thinking one day he's gonna be a lion, and you're gonna look up, he's still a giraffe.
I love it. A little bit more about the red flags, because I feel that there are so many red flags, but if you can give us just a couple more that we're missing. The young women are missing a lot of those red flags, and we know that red flags, that's the thing right now on Instagram. There are so many red flags, but what about women who feel that I was emotionally invested and he paid my bills, he took care of the kids, he's taking care of me, so I feel obligated to be with him. But there are tons of red flags all over that says, you gotta go.
Well, that's kind of a different scenario, because if you're invested in such a way that now you have children and you've like basically built a life together, then that requires a whole different level of care of how you're going to handle that. The thing about red flags is they're only a gift before you have children with him.
There she goes.
Create a life with them. Like that's the only time they're a gift. When you ignore them in the beginning, and then, in 3-5 years, 2 babies later, and then you say, oh, look at these red flags. Well, now they're not red flags. Now that becomes a whole nother, like now you got a whole nother situation on your hands.
I like that, because I always say it doesn't take 5 babies to know that she wasn't going to be your wife.
No. And I think you need to be clear going in. Like I knew when I was dating, it took me a while to get here because I had such, confidence and self-esteem issues. But when I finally realized I don't want to be a baby mama, that's not my portion. That is not my goal.
Right.
So how many children do you want to have? Now, recognizing that things happen, but there's a difference between I had 1 baby that I didn't plan on, but now we have 4.
Right.
And the subsequent babies are not suddenly getting rid of the red flags and making him into something that he's not. So, red flags are the gift on the front end, usually no more than by the 5th date. You have seen them and you have, watched this, you've seen them and you've guided yourself accordingly, or you've seen them and you made the decision to ignore them.
Woo!
And we make that decision. We do it subconsciously, but we make the decision like, well, he said he doesn't want a relationship, but that's just because he broke up with his ex and he's not, he's still not over her. Or he's got 6 kids and 8 baby mama, but that's just because they were those type of women. Like, and so we see them, but we make the decision to ignore them.
I'm on your Instagram right now, and you mentioned oh yes, you mentioned something about self-esteem. I'm reading one of your recent posts. It said, ladies, if he makes you doubt your worth, then he isn't worth your time. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a whole lot.
How horrible is it we get in these relationships and then we start feeling so insecure? And there's a difference between being insecure as a person, where you've got personal insecurities that you need to work through. And I encourage women, you're not relationship ready until you've worked through your own insecurities. But then once you've done that, and yet you're in this relationship and you feel insecure, not in your person, but in the relationship, that is a problem. So that means there's something missing in the relationship. There's a lack of trust. There's something he's not offering or giving you that now it's bringing up all your insecurities where you're second guessing yourself. Right. You want to sneak behind his back and go through his phone. When he tells you something came up on a Friday, you're trolling his Instagram. All these behaviors are the signs that you're letting you're insecure in the relationship.
Right there, it has me, right? Ladies, don't confuse the guy who's available to you with God's best for you.
Yeah.
That's another deep one.
Familiarity and comfort just becomes the enemy for God's best in our life. Because we can get so comfortable with what's familiar. So, that joker's just kind of been hanging in there, probably at best a situationship where you're tolerating the emotional crumbs.
Situationship. Did you just say situationship?
I did. And I don't say that from a place of judgment because I was in one. So I'm not judging.
No, I love it. I love the word altogether because it's not a relationship, ladies.
No, it's just a situation. And it is not. You're not satisfied. You don't feel seen, heard, and valued. Your needs are not really getting met. But, you get some emotional breadcrumbs, never the entire loaf.
I love it.
Yeah, you never feel full. Like you never feel satisfied and good and like things like after Thanksgiving dinner. You don't ever feel full. But you're not starving to death, which is what you're afraid of. If you let him go, that you'll have nothing and then you'll be starving. So you're tolerating these emotional breadcrumbs. You're in this situationship, and you just find yourself thinking, okay, what am I doing? What am I going to do next? Like, what does that next look like for me? And we tolerate it far too long.
Far too long. I agree. And a lot of women invest so much, and I'm going to say it all the time. We invest so much emotionally. But most of the men, when you have the conversation that, listen, dude, we want you present, right? Not physically, but we want you present in the relationship, emotionally, spiritually. We want you fully present. Like, give us the gift of your presence already. And you communicate that. The projection that happens all the time, I hear a lot of the women talk about it. He's projecting things. Look how you're talking to me. You want to have conversations when you're ready. Now, when I'm ready, Stacey, it's frustrating. And I feel that a lot of women need to learn how to forgive themselves. I think one of your posts says that. Learn to forgive yourself
and move on. I say forgive yourself and move on. Yeah, forgive yourself and move on.
How do they move on? That's the other thing. It's what do you do after the breakup? What do you do to get yourself really emotionally just at a place where you can move on? Because a lot of women are struggling, and it's the truth.
Well, the first thing is you have to give yourself grace, because depending on how long the relationship lasted, how emotionally involved you became, how vulnerable you became, if you were intimate with him, there's so many variables that will determine just how kind of devastating it feels. Maybe there was a betrayal, so it can be tough. And so you have to give yourself grace in that moment, kind of that day by day. But then you have to make a decision and say, you know what? I am giving this situation an expiration date, that I'm going to take back my personal power. It's almost like when milk expires and you look at the date. I'm going to take back my personal power, and every day I'm going to make that decision to take a small step forward. Because guess what? Just like you learned how to love him, you can unlearn how to love him.
That's right.
You can unlearn it. And then you do what I call that inventory and get real with yourself. Because sometimes we're so busy being a romanticist, we are not a realist. Because sometimes we can look up, I've had this happen, where you look up and you thought, oh my God, I love him. I absolutely adore him. And it's only after the fact you realize he never adored you in the first place.
Right.
And so you were caught up in the idea of him, not the reality of him.
Not the reality. Wow. Boom. You said a lot right there, Stacey. On the real, keeping it 100, women need to be honest with themselves.
So honest.
Just be honest.
We would save ourselves if we would just be honest with ourselves.
Right. And honest, just saying the guy is not ready. And I think we do see the red flags and we choose to ignore them. We definitely do. But being honest with yourself is a great place to start. I mean, I'm still very single and I'm telling you, dating is not fun. I do not like to date. And I expressed it to someone before. I said, I don't like to date. And her response was, so don't date. Just not date just because I don't like dating?
Well, you know why we don't like dating? Because dating is a risk. And when we're those safety Susies of the world, where we want to date with an insurance policy, we want to date making sure we'll never be hurt, we want to date not having to be vulnerable. And so dating comes with the risk, but think about it, there's nothing in life worth having that you don't have to take a risk for, whether you're building a business, getting an education, like whatever it is. And so you have to look at love or finding love. There's a level of risk, not in a negative way, but being vulnerable and having to put yourself out there, that comes with a level of risk. And you have to kind of just, like, when you make peace with that and don't try and make it a right or wrong and just accept it and take the approach of, I'm going in this, one, by faith, knowing that God's best, the man God has for me, is out there.
That's right.
And two, if I date a man who is not God's best, it just means he has something better, and I'm just going to move on and do it, in the right and proper perspective, keeping your emotions in check. Every date should not be like, okay, I wonder if he's the one, I wonder if we get married. The first date, you go meet a guy for coffee, just, you're just going on a fact-finding mission. And so it shouldn't come with all the angst and trepidation. We put all of that on ourselves. If a business person or, a friend says, hey, Kurline, I got somebody great, I'd love for you to meet, you guys should hook up and go to coffee. Like, it wouldn't be that deep to you. Right. But the moment you start thinking, is he the one? Oh, what about this? What about that? That's where all that angst comes in. And we've just, we got to relax, got to chill, get to know him.
No kidding. I think we do bring all the anxiety.
Yeah, we bring all this drama, because I promise you, because I know men, I've been surrounded by men my entire life. They are not putting all that drama into it. If they invite you to go for coffee, they are not angsting for 2 hours of what they're going to wear, another 4 hours of what wig I'm going to wear, how's my hair going to look, another 6 hours on the phone with their girlfriend. Like, okay, should I get there before he does? Should I order coffee? Should I order coffee and a donut? Like, they're not doing all that. They're just showing up. We bring all that drama on ourselves, and then we're like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. Well, of course you are, because you spent 26 hours.
Right, you burnt yourself out.
in something that wasn't even that deep. You're just going to go get to know somebody.
Wow, the lesson.
Put it in its right perspective.
The right
dating should be fun. When dating's not fun, that means you've got to evaluate, what am I doing? How much pressure am I putting on this that dating isn't fun? Because in your regular life, you wouldn't mind going to go have coffee with somebody.
Right. What about people who date long distance, but they're not actually dating? What are some of the things that they can do to make sure that the time they met to the time that they're going to get married, that there's some kind of fun in between? Because I know a lot of people who've dated long distance and they break up simply because I'm not dating. So, and I know a lot of people think that they need to actually go out all the time to call it dating.
Well, dating is, I mean, you get to define dating, you know. I'm less concerned about what you call it in that phase and more concerned about where is it going? What's the outcome? And do we have the same goal? Are we going through this, whatever you want to call this phase, moving towards an exclusive relationship that culminates in a marriage? So whatever you want to call that get to know each other phase, you know, that's fine.
Love it.
You know, whatever label serves your purpose, go for it. But I think with long distance, you know, it comes with some inherent struggles, and you have to really ask yourself, you know, because dating does have, you know, being in love has its vulnerability, and you have to willing to take that risk to be vulnerable. It ups the ante when you're long distance, because now you've got to be so confident and secure in yourself. You've got to be confident and secure in the relationship. You've got to be so good with your life and have fullness in your entire life, so that the fact that you don't get to see each other often, you're not sitting there being needy and like always wanting more FaceTime or Zoom or all of these things. So it takes a really special situation where both people are confident, both people are really clear on what they want, and both people know that we're doing this, recognize as we get to know each other, we both are commitment minded. If this is going to actually be something different is going to happen. So for example, if you guys are across the country from each other and neither of you are not even open to moving, then you have to ask yourself, what are we doing? Why are we even pursuing this? And if you're dating across the country and you're commitment minded and he's telling you, you know, he's not really looking for a serious relationship, right, or whatever language he uses, then why would you continue to date? Because if he's not looking for a committed relationship, then what are you really going to have long distance other than just somebody that probably talks to you when it's convenient for them and they really don't have anything else to do anyway?
You said a lot right there. I know some of you women are very uncomfortable and some of you men are very uncomfortable, but that's a good place to start because we're open to learning. We want to do better. Our relationship expert right here, she knows what she's talking about, okay? People are talking about her. She knows what she's talking about. Stacey, before we let you go, what advice do you have for single women in particular? How do they occupy their time? How do they occupy their emotions? How do they get ready just to go back into the single world? Those who have not dated in years, or what single women in general, what do we do with our time? What advice do you have other than looking for a man? How do you prepare?
Well, that looking for a man should not be on your priority list for sure.
I love her. There you go. That's right.
Yeah, that should not be on your priority list. You know, when you think about Ruth was about her father's business. Ruth was getting her provision on. Ruth was not looking for Boaz. So the mission should not be, let me just sit here and wait for him to come, you know, ring my doorbell. The mission is, let me be about my father's business. Let me be about my purpose. Let me about living my best life. Let me have some fun and enjoy my life.
Right.
And then let I want to be found, because guess what? You're in a better position to be found when you're out living your best life than when you're sitting home thinking and pining away and worrying about the fact that you're still single. Go enjoy life, because you could be anywhere and meet Mr. Right, but you have to be ready. You know, I always say, prepare for what you prayed about. Like, are you ready? Have you, gotten over your ex? You still have some relationship residue that you need to resolve. Maybe you're emotionally unavailable. So you need to look at, okay, how do I become my best self? So if you want to develop and do something while you're waiting for Mr. Right, get ready, because God moves suddenly. Don't be caught off guard, not ready. Boaz shows up, you in the field trying to glean, and Boaz shows up and he passes you on by because you're not ready. You sitting there pining away over your ex. Girl, get ready.
Get ready, get ready.
Get ready.
I love it. Ladies, you got to get ready. Just get ready. It's more than your hair. It's more than your nails. It's more than your thighs and your hips. Get ready.
So much more.
Engage yourself in purpose. Yes.
I don't know where we ever kind of got, we went down that rabbit hole, but that's what it is. It's about being authentic. Men are attracted to authenticity. They're attracted to confidence. Like, you need to ask yourself, what can I do to be my authentic, most powerful, confident self? And let me work on becoming that person. That's what attracts a quality man that can sustain you. Any joker that cares about, your Brazilian butt lift and, how long your weave, like all that stuff. That is not going to get you Boaz that you can have your forever love story with. So focus on the qualities that you want, because, it's interesting. We women, if I were to ask your ladies, because I've asked my ladies, what kind of qualities do you want in a guy? They can pull out a list. Sometimes it's 1,000 pages long. You have to remember, you attract as you are. So if you're wondering what you're doing, you should be working on your list, because guess what? He has a list too.
Right. And
if you're busy focusing on him, and meanwhile he's pulling out his list and he has 5 things and you're not even one of them. You haven't developed yourself and gotten yourself ready. So that's what you should be doing.
Tell them where they can find you. Tell them your website and your handle. Just tell them where they can find you. Because
everything is by my name, and it's Stacey with an E and Speller with a P like Peter. So it's staceyspeller.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as I am Stacey Speller. I'm on Twitter. I am there. I would love to connect and hear from you. Yeah.
Go stalk her.
And On my website, or you can find it on my link in my bio, I have a free guide of my top 10 tips of why you're still single. So ladies, if nothing else, go get the free guide and download it and go through that and get some real solid tips that you can work on of why you're still single.
Okay, who's been all over her Instagram and her website? Yes. But okay, ladies, there is no shame in the game. We want to become the best versions of ourselves always. We want to continue to grow and be the best versions of ourselves for that somebody that we're praying for. Continue to engage in your purpose and know that God has the very best for you. Stacey, we thank God for you. All of those gems. So we're going to bring you back because this was just a little snippet of what we know you have. So thank you again, Stacey, for showing up here on the Kurline Speaks show. You continue to be great.